Hello traders, hope you're doing well. Welcome to my video on the Stochastic Divergence EA. This is a free expert advisor that I developed for the MT4 and MT5 trading platforms. Please help yourself to a copy using the link in the description below. In this video, I'm just going to run through the Stochastic Divergence EA, various ways in which it can be used, the settings and how to test it. As I said, it's available for the MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5 platforms. For the purpose of this video, we are going to use MT4. You can see I have my MT4 platform open here. I've got the stochastic indicator on the chart. Just to give you a brief overview of how the EA trades, what we look for is divergence is when you see the market making lower highs, as it is there, but the indicator that you're using is making higher lows, as you see there. So the market lower highs going downwards, the stochastic indicator is making higher lows going upwards, and you can see we have a breakout of this trend line. We also have a support level formed here. Okay, a bit of a bear trap here. People were perhaps selling, trying to sell at the low here. Then their stop losses got taken out and we've seen a shift of momentum towards the upside here. You also have the crossover of the stochastic indicator to the upside, as well as loads of bullish candlestick patterns. We've got a 3 inside up pattern there. Okay, got bullish hammer, bullish inside bar. We also have a wedge formation here. Okay, so all the signs were for a bullish trade, a buy trade, which we could have identified via the divergence on the stochastic indicator. And that is what this EA can do. So it can trade either reversals or breakouts, depending on how you set it up, based on stochastic divergence. Okay, so if we go to here, we see the MT4 strategy tester window, got the divergence EA selected. I say divergence EA because I have also included the MACD, DCI and RSI indicators. You can also choose divergence on those as well. So it's sort of your all-in-one divergence EA. Okay, if we go to the expert properties here, these are the various settings available in the EA. Same for MT4 and MT5. You can adjust them according to your own needs. So here's the expert name. You can change that to anything you like. This is what's displayed to your broker and in your account history. Pop-up alerts, if you set pop-up alerts to true, the EA can send you an alert, for example, buy signal on the Euro-Dollar 1 hour chart. This is handy if you want to perhaps simultaneously track multiple charts on your platform. You can do, so you can have 20 different charts open and not need to manually scan them for divergence because the EA can do it for you, which works well in a semi-automated approach, which is personally how I would use this EA. I wouldn't use it fully automated simply because I'd want to verify and check every position and manage it myself beforehand. Okay, email alerts is the same. It will just send you the alert via email instead, which is handy if you're out and about. Perhaps you're lazing around on the sofa and you just want to get a notification so you know to fire up your platform and check what's going on in the market and if there is a signal that you would like to take. SMS alerts is the same, it's just the alert via SMS. So use trading, if you set use trading to true, the EA can actually place and manage the trades for you on your behalf. It does also have money management settings, which we'll get into later. You can combine these settings as well, so you can have use trading set to true and email alert set to true, for example. So you receive an email that a trade has been placed, and then you can open up your platform and check from there. Perhaps you want to put the stop loss or amend the stop loss and take profit on the trade just to confirm it is a good position. And you do have trade short and trade long. You can set to true or false, which if you go to the testing tab up here, you also have the option long and short only there. Okay, days filter, self-explanatory. This is the days of week you'd like the EA to trade. Hours filter as well, self-explanatory. Perhaps you want to trade a particular trading session, maybe the London, the New York, perhaps the London and NY overlap, maybe the Asian, the Sydney and Tokyo sessions. So you can adjust hours accordingly there. Magic number buy, magic number sell. These are the order IDs that are sent with the buy and sell trades. This is handy if you want to perhaps use multiple EAs on the same account and you don't want it to clash with each other. So under the broker settings, we've got maximum spread and maximum slippage. Basically, if the broker spread or slippage is greater than these values in pips, the EA will not place a trade. This is to try and avoid unfavorable market conditions. Money management, so open orders limit defaults to 1 open and or buy sell at any time. This is to help prevent duplicate trades. Okay, use risk. So if you have a use risk set to false, the EA will use the lot size that you put here in the lots field. If you have use risk set to true, the EA will automatically calculate the lot size for you depending on what you put here in the risk percent. 2% by default. Obviously, when it comes to money management, do what you feel comfortable with. Every trader is different in that respect. And of course, always test on a demo account to begin with. Make sure you have a clear understanding of money management. You have trading discipline, a plan, and practice, practice, practice. Stop loss and take profit, self-explanatory. One thing I will say about these levels is I personally would prefer not to use fixed levels. Granted, if you're away from your platform and you want the EA to do a hard stop loss, if it's placing trades for you, can, and the same with the take profit. But what I would like to do, I would actually have the take profit probably on 0, simply because if we go back to this trade example here, let's say we had taken this breakout of that trend line there, or for argument's sake, this resistance level, see price was trapped in a range. Nice breakout, 3 inside up pattern there, breakout of this wedge pattern. You've actually got a W chart pattern as well. I do have videos on all these various market analysis that you can check out. And then we had a clear breakout. You can see from these candles, traders are watching these levels and anticipating this reversal buying at the low here, which is a good trade. So say we're taking this breakout, we could have used this swing low here as a stop loss area, which is around 20 to 25 pips. Which is better than, say, a fixed stop loss of 50 pips. But, if you're away from your computer, you can always use a 50 pip or whatever stop loss you want, depending on, the time frame you're trading. You scalping, day trading, swing trading. And then once you know there's been a trade and you've got an alert, you can just amend it accordingly. However, when it comes to take profit, let's just say you had a 100 pip take profit target. You would have been taking out the trade here, which, is actually a really good trade. You probably would be happy, but in hindsight, you could have got over 150 pips thus far in this trade. So this is why I wouldn't personally use a take profit myself. Of course, everybody's different. Reason being is once the trade comes up here, I'd move the stop loss to break even, so lock it in here. And then I'd just move the stop loss below these lows here. Okay, so we may have been taken out up and around here somewhere. Perhaps maybe we would have manually exited once we've seen this resistance level, the market starting to make these lower highs. Okay, we'd be keeping an eye on this position now if we were still in it. See a break of this trend line here as well. So yeah, just to emphasize that fixed stop loss and take profit levels are not always ideal, but they can be sort of helpful if you're not around to place the trade. So that's the money management. Close opposite signal, you can set to true or false. If set to true, if there's an open buy, if there's a buy signal, you have an open sell trade, the sell trade will be closed, and vice versa. Break even and trail. So this is you have an option to move the stop loss to break even. If you set break even to true, once this distance in pips is reached, let's say 50 pips, the stop loss will be moved to break even. If you set trailing stop to true, the EA will move the stop loss via the distance trailing gap every time it is reached. Okay, and you can close a percentage of the trade if you want each time. That's 25% every time the trailing gap is hit, and the minimum lot to close, the EA will stop closing part of the trade once you have, say you're trading one standard lot, okay, and you have minimum lot close 0.2. When you only have 0.2 lots remaining in the position, it won't close any more. That's the money management. As I said, I do think manually putting in some effort to do money management can definitely improve performance. So let's get to the nitty gritty of the EA, and that's how it takes trades and gives you signals. So we've got the divergence look back bars. This is basically how many bars you want to check back for divergence. Generally speaking, the further you look back, I find the more reliable the divergence will be. That's because it contains more price data. Okay. Entry type, you can choose reversal or breakout. And we have the indicators that you can choose the divergence for, so the CCI, the MACD, RSI, and stochastics. This video is for the stochastic divergence, but as I said, you can choose each individually or combine them if you wish. So you also have the periods and the various settings for each of the indicators, as well as the true and false switches. So those are the EA settings. We're going to show you how to do an optimization now. So just reset that. For an optimization, we want to have use trading to true. An optimization is basically when you test various settings to see what results they could have produced historically speaking. Of course, it's not 100% reliable because you cannot account for things such as slippage. Commissions as well we need to consider. Then you have spreads. The MT4 strategy tester cannot account for variable spreads. You can get third-party software to implement with the MT4 strategy tester that does improve the modeling quality from the default 90%. You can get up to 99% modeling quality. However, we're still testing over historical data, so it's of course no guarantee of what will happen moving forward. The MT5 strategy tester does allow you to test with tick data, real spreads, include commissions, and simulate slippage as well. So it's slightly better in terms of backtesting performance, but again, historical results. So for this optimization, let's choose the settings we want to optimize. I think we'll trade with one standard lot. Okay, so user is false, one standard lot. For the stop loss, we'll optimize a stop loss of 25. We'll go up in 25 pip increments and we'll stop at 50. Take profit, we'll start at 0, go up at 100 and stop at 300. We'll do close opposite signal, true or false. We'll select that. Break even, we'll do true or false as well. For the break even point, we'll do optimize 25 pips up to 50 pips. Trailing stop, true or false, and for the trailing gap, we'll do 25 pips up to 50 pips as well. Close percent, we'll close either 0, 25, or 75%. For the minimum lot to close 0.25, 0.25 up to 1.25. So if the bars look back, we'll look back 10 bars up to 200 bars. So these values here, this is the value you want to start testing. This is the value you want to end testing, start, stop. And the step is the increments you want to go. So that would test bars look back of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, all the way up to 200. Entry type will test for either a reversal or breakout. As a stochastic video, we'll leave CCI false, MACD false, RSI false, and we'll do the stochastic as true. And for the periods 5 to 15, and we'll do 3, 6, 9 for those. So those are all the settings we're going to optimize. See what the various combinations produce. If you go to this optimization tab here, you can filter results by any of these. So for example, if you want to only have results with a maximum drawdown of 20, you can put that in there and have that selected. I leave these all unchecked just because I want to see what results good and bad. So I know what could work and what may not. Under the testing tab, you can put your initial deposit for testing, currency, trade direction, and the parameter you would like to optimize for. I always leave this on balance. This genetic algorithm thing, if you have this unchecked, basically every single combination will be tested. So every setting you've chose to optimize, which can take an age depending on the power of your computer and how many settings you've selected, along with the time frame you're using and the amount of historical data. I leave this checked. I just feel the strategy tester does a good job of throwing away results it deems would not be produce desirable results, and it's a lot faster. So we click OK. Then we choose our symbol. So we've got the euro dollar. You can use this EA on any trading instruments, so forex, stocks, commodities, cryptos, indices, etc. For the model, I always start with open prices only because the EA is coded to take entries and exits based on the open prices. However, open prices cannot account for what happens intrabar. So when it comes to stop loss, take profit, break even, trailing stop, etc., it's not always, well, it isn't accurate. You would need to go to every tick, which includes intrabar prices, but even then, as I said earlier in the video, you cannot guarantee that the results are going to be accurate. It's just giving you a rough idea of how the EA trades. So I leave on open prices only just to get initial settings, and then you can always switch over to every tick when you want to fine tune them. But open prices only is a lot faster just to sort of get an idea of what settings you would like to use. So use date, you can choose the dates that you would like to test over. So we'll just choose the previous year. time frame. So I've got the 1 hour chart selected. I prefer the 1 hour chart simply because they contain more price data and therefore I find signals tend to be more reliable. Spread, we can use the current spread. Keep in mind if you are testing on the weekend, the market spread may be higher than usual, so you can put something more realistic in there. Once we're ready, we click this optimization and we click start. And now what will happen is if you go to the optimization results, we'll see the results based on the various combinations of the settings we selected in the stochastic EA. Okay, you see the results coming through here, which you can sort via profit, number of trades, profit factor, expected payoff or drawdown in monetary or percentage value. Okay, that was quite quick. Sort by profit. And what you can do, you can see what the different settings, the results they produced here. And if you double click any of the results, for example, we'll double click this one of those with the highest profit. When you double click the results, if you go to expert properties inputs, it will load those particular settings that produce those results into the inputs tab. Okay, and you can always click save and save the file for a later date, and load just to load the set file. So you could save it as euro-dollar 1 hour test, and just load it if you need to at a later date. So now with those settings loaded into the inputs, we click start, we can run an individual back test with those settings, and you can see a decent looking graph. Let's package it up and sell it. No, let's not. And why is that? Because what we've done there is over optimize, also known as curve fitting, and that is basically when you combine as many different settings as possible. We didn't combine as many as possible. We could have done a lot more, but we combined enough just so we found what would fit that particular data set. The problem with that is you're, as I said, curve fitting or over optimizing. You're only finding what works for that particular data set. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a good strategy or it will work moving forward. Granted, you can stumble across good settings that do have logic behind them, but you really need to look in at the settings that it produced and say, okay, yeah, that is a logical strategy, rather than it just being a random combination of settings. Because, you know, for any trading instrument, any time frame, any data set, you will find probably more often than not good settings, but that can just be complete luck. You know, throw enough you know what at the wall and some of it will eventually stick. If you do find settings that work across multiple instruments and produce this, you know, same good results, that generally gives it more strength in my opinion, as well as different time frames. But as I said at the start of the video, I think using an EA such as this one in a semi-automated manner will give you the best performance. Things such as money management will be key, discipline, having a plan, sticking to it. Okay. So just to emphasize my point, if we go back a further 2 years and run those exact same settings, what happens? That happens. Okay, it doesn't look so great. And why is that? It's because we optimized from this nice bit where it went up here. Okay, probably starts around here. No, is it here? Just after here somewhere is where we optimized for, is when it started going up. You can see before that the results are not so great because we only optimized for that bit of the data. So some may argue just optimize again. Go back 3 years, go back 5 years, go back 10 years, 20 years. It doesn't matter. You're still having the same principle. You're still going to be curve fitting the data, curve fitting the setting, sorry, to fit your data set. Obviously, there is a higher chance of you getting a good set file if you are testing over more data, because it shows you through different market conditions how the EA could have performed, but even then it can still just be complete luck. So we'll let it run for another 3 years a minute. Okay, optimizing the same settings. Then we'll just sort by profit. Okay, we can see a decent one up here. We'll double click it to load the settings and we'll run that individual test now. Looks good. I'm sure everybody would be happy with that equity chart. However, we've only over optimized for the last 3 years on the 1 hour euro-dollar chart. If we go back another 2 years, run the same settings, what happens? That happens. Okay, again, the extra years we added, results are not so good because we only over optimized or curve fitted for the data after. So you could keep chasing your tail and going back and trying to, you know, waste time finding the perfect sense. But at the end of the day, something like this, in my opinion, is best used as a tool to support your manual trading. Okay. As I said, completely free to use, available for the MT4 and MT5 trading platforms, link in the description. Going back to using it for manual trading, in an instance like this, you would have seen this resistance. Okay, you would have seen this upwards trend here. We may have been around here. Okay, you could have been saying, well, you know, perhaps this buy trend has been exhausted. I'm not going to buy the high. I'm looking for a reversal, so a sell trade. I'm seeing the market make these, is met this resistance. We're making these lower highs now. Had a breakout of this trend line, which is actually support and resistance around here. 3 inside down candlestick pattern, 3 black throws there. You know, in a bearish inverted hammer. There's lots of signals here that the market was going to reverse. And how would the EA have helped us in this instance? We could have had bearish divergence alert there. So we know, okay, now's the time to quickly look at this situation. We may have a sell trade divergence confirmed by the EA. And then you could have just put your support line. Put your support line in. See here, resistance, resistance, support, support. It's a strong level, as emphasized by that big breakout bar to the downside. Okay, and you could have looked to a time your entry in on this downwards trend there. Again, lower highs, bearish candlestick patterns. Nice trade on the breakout. Stochastic trended downwards. And a potential trade for over 300 pips there, with making some effort, not just to do a random combination settings, but to just spend 5 minutes looking at your chart. You know, if you're trading 1 hour charts, you don't need to stare at the chart for an hour. You can check it on the hour, every hour, and just place your pending orders if you wish, once you've got an alert that a trade may be setting up. In this instance, stop loss above this high here, which is around 50 pips, and then you can just trail it above the highs as price goes down. And once you see this support start forming, okay, wedge pattern, big breakout there, which, interestingly enough, if you were getting your divergence alerts, you would have had an alert there for a bullish divergence, and you could have exited or planned your exit accordingly there, either manually, or you may have had your stop loss up here and been taken out, but still would have been a good trade. You've maximized that downwards move as much as possible. So there are many ways in which you can use this EA. MT4 and MT5 platform, completely free to use. Make sure you demo, test, okay, and you know what you're doing. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be happy to help. Hopefully catch you on the next one. Take care.